Gentlemen, I'd like to call this meeting of the County Commissioners to order. It's 6 o'clock on May the 16th, 2023, and we'll start off by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can't think of anything. The meeting, I would just like to announce that time is allotted at the end of each meeting for the commissioners to receive comments from the public. We have 3 consent items. We have a regular session minutes dated May the 9th, 2023. We have liquor minutes dated May 9th, 2023. And we have the Betterton Still Pond Lions Club combined raffle dated January the 10th, 2023. And I'd like to entertain a motion to,
So moved.
Hold, we gotta check, see if there's anybody.
no, not for these 3.
Oh, this is the consent, I got
Yeah,
ahead of
this is
myself.
different.
This is the raffle, not the
Yep.
liquor license. Sorry about that.
So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Then we have special Class C licenses. Betterton Still Pond Lions Club for beer and wine dated June the 10th, 2023. Singles on sailboats, beer, wine, and liquor, June 24th, 2023. And the Sergeant Preston Ashley American Legion Auxiliary Unit 228 is a beer only for July the 2nd, 2023. And Sergeant Preston Ashley American Legion Auxiliary Unit 228 for beer only dated July the 4th, and 2023. And for those that may not know, these are just one-day liquor licenses for special events. So because they are beer and wine applications, we're subject to have a public hearing. We're going to consider today that public hearing. Anybody in the audience that would like to comment for or against any of these applications, feel free to do so right now. There being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve the special Class C liquor licenses for the Betterton Still Pond Lions, singles on sailboats, and 2 for the Sergeant Preston Ashley American Legion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Now turn it over to our county attorney, Thomas Yeager, to speak about public hearing protocol.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a public hearing this evening on the creation of agricultural land preservation districts in the county. So first, I will read into the record the procedures for testifying. It is our desire that everyone who wishes to contribute to this democratic process is given a fair and uninterrupted opportunity to be heard. To ensure equal opportunity for individual input for the topic under discussion, certain rules must be followed by all persons who are to testify. The rules to govern our hearings are few, but are intended to guide our proceedings. The hope is that each person testifying will be self-governed, thereby contributing to fairness for all. The chair will remind anyone who testifies when he or she has violated the rules of the proceeding. Rule 1, please sign the testimony log if you desire to speak during the hearing. Rule 2, all speakers must identify themselves and use the area designated for purposes of testifying and must use the microphone. Rule 3, each person testifying will have 3 minutes for his or her remarks. Rule 4, the chair will maintain order via voice commands. And Rule 5, stick to the issues at hand.
Tom, I apologize. I'm going to take something a little bit out of order. You've given the public hearing protocol, so then I'm going to do a little something, and then we'll move into the hearing. But I just wanted to make an announcement to the audience and those that's listening online. We recently had a retirement of an individual who was the director of our Office of Emergency Services. And he had been with us for quite a number of years, and he left us, so we had a void in that spot. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Pete Landon. Pete, you want to come up for a minute? Pete is going to be our new Director of Office of Emergency Services. And I just wanted to say how thrilled we are to have you, and I know you've had a long list of careers in your time, and we're glad to have you here, and we know you'll do a great job for us. But I wanted to let you say a few words if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to say I'm glad to be back in Kent County. It's been a while since I've worked here. I've probably worked with a lot of parents and grandparents of people in the room. So it's going to be my pleasure to help out, get County prepared and back to where we should be. We've come a long way with Wayne and the commissioners previously, and we can do any better. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you coming in, and I didn't want you to have to sit here through the whole meeting, but I wanted you to get, and I was.
Very entertaining.
It was very entertaining. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay, I apologize. Tom, go ahead.
That's fine. Now, the next formality, we need to place into the record the notice of the public hearing. County Commissioners of Kent County will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, May 16, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the County Commissioners Hearing Room, R. Clayton Mitchell Jr. County Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, for the purpose of discussing the voluntary creation of agricultural land preservation districts for the following. These are the property owners and the properties. Jack Coleman, Lambs Meadow Road, parcel 21 on tax map 20. Fry Cooper Farm LLC, 28151 Comegys Road, that's parcel 86 on map 21. Fry Cooper Farm LLC, 11471 Augustine Herman Highway, parcel 83 on tax map 21. David Hill, 12192 Kennedyville Road, parcel 4 on tax map 21. Chris Jackman, 12986 Augustine Herman Highway, parcel 3 on tax map 14. Lester C. Jones and Sons Incorporated, 13121 Massey Road, it's parcel 5 on tax map 16. Lester C. Jones and Sons Incorporated, Spear Road, parcel 4 on tax map 32. Owings and Sons Business Trust, 29960 Morgneck Road, that's lots 1 and 2 on parcel 25 on tax map 22. Rich Levels at Mill Creek LLC, 32269 Galena Sassafras Road, parcel 2 on tax map 16. Thomas Wiltbank, 10187 Augustine Herman Highway, parcel 42 on tax map 28. The meeting is open to the public no later than noon on Friday, May 12, 2023. Citizens may call 410-778-4600 and press 4, or email kentcounty@kentgov.org to receive further instructions. This hearing is pursuant to the Code of Public Laws of Kent County, Chapter 171, Agricultural Preservation Districts. And this is by order of the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Sandra Blackiston Clerk, and it was published in the Kent County News on May 4th, 2023. And Madam Clerk, did we receive any written comments or any phone calls prior to May 12th?
No, we did not.
Okay. We would first call on the Planning Director, and after he provides his testimony and comments, then we would go down the list of the individuals who signed up. Mr. Mackey.
Thank you. Good evening. I just want to give a little context to the setting. This is regarding the voluntary creation of 10 agricultural land preservation districts. The county has a system where part of sort of declaring your interest in seeking a preservation easement is that one enters voluntarily into a district, and then one is eligible to apply for the MALF funding where they purchase development rights. So the individuals and farms before you have all elected to enter into a preservation district. They've made that request. Staff has reviewed that. The reviews are included in your packet. The Planning Commission also held a hearing and they reviewed it. Their recommendations are provided in your packet. And this evening is an opportunity for the public to comment on those applications, and then the final step would be your all's decision of, would you like to create these preservation districts for the applicants for this round this year? So, happy to answer any questions that I can. And
I would just say into the record, if it's not already entered into the record, we would enter the materials that Mr. Mackey has prepared, the proposed Ag Districts 2023 map. And it looks like there is another larger map too, Kent County, Maryland proposed Ag District. So if there's no objection from the commissioners, we would make those documents part of the record for tonight's hearing.
thank you, sir. The smaller map appears in the packet, and the larger map is just a more readable version that doesn't include some of the names and other things, so you can see all of the various colors. So, all right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Is there anyone else that wants to offer testimony for this public hearing before I take the sign and log up front? Okay. No.
David Hill.
David Hill, Chairman of the Kent County Ag Land Preservation Committee. So the only reason why I asked to speak before you start is that these families have been here for years, that we decided from the committee that these would be eligible farms. They fit all the criteria and would be good candidates to be districts in our county to help preserve the ground for our history. So with that said, I understand that there were some personal targets at the last meeting when it was brought between the zoning board. Alls I'll say is, it's their opinion. I've served on the committee 8 years. It's nothing been done underhandedly. There's nothing been done below the board. These all fit the criteria. As you'll see tonight, I've got one that's mine on there. I'll put it to you this way. If you saw the looks on their faces when they saw it was one of my farms that came forward, they had no clue that that was coming. I recused myself from that voting, nor did I influence any of the members, and the staff can testify to all that it was all done legitimately. Over the last 8 years that I have served, I think we have had 4 farms come through that the person was sitting on the committee. There was no favoritism, nothing done to make sure that theirs had gotten through. It was all done based on the criteria that we had designed. Now, with that criteria that we designed, it was based on the previous commissioner's request for us to go back, and Mr. Fithian was one of the members of that we came forward, and Tom was president, and it was all agreed upon, and we have not varied from that. Staff has stuck to it. My understanding is it has not been voted in to be made standard, but that's what we stick to. We have criteria to follow with the state. We do not change anything. A lot of this is out of our hands. It's based on what criteria the state has passed down to us.
Thank you very
So I guess if there's any questions you have before you started from anything.
I have no doubt that the process was done with integrity and had no concerns whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Janet Christensen?
Good evening. Janet Christensen Lewis. I'm not quite sure at what point in time we didn't openly celebrate people voluntarily putting their properties into an easement for preservation. It's something that Kent County has always cherished, and for people to take their properties and put them forward. I'm here tonight just to make sure that as the commissioners look at this, that they judge these farms fairly. And I also want to speak out in support of David Hill. I think that what happened at the Planning Commission, I was there, was unconscionable. He's an honorable man. He has served on many boards for Kent County, and he should be given accolades for the work that he's done for the county and not demonized. So I hope that the commissioners pass these farms, let them go into preservation, and I hope that the performance that we saw at the Planning Commission doesn't happen again. Thank you.
Anyone else want to testify that failed to sign the sign-up sheet? With that being said, I entertain a motion.
I am honored, make sure I got the right one here. I am honored to make a motion with the findings that all of the applications exceed the minimum criteria, and I move to approve the establishment of agriculture preservation districts on these farms.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. And I'd just like to say, I've been on this board for 25 years now, and we've never had an issue with these. These have always been come before us. By the time they get to us, they've been well vetted, and we have no reason to question anything. We have never questioned anything in the past, and so thank you very much for your service, and thank you to those that have decided to continue to put this farmland in preservation. And with that, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're very happy to do it. I mean, you know, securing our farmland and maintaining our way of life here in Kent County is extremely important to me, and I'm sure it's important to each one of us sitting up here. So,
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Then that concludes our hearing. Tom, you're up again.
Yes, Mr. President, we have one item tonight for legislative session. This is a zoning text amendment, which revises the height restrictions of industrial structures in the Route 301 corridor, and it also adds a definition to the Route 301 corridor, so we know the areas where, with certainty, where these restrictions would apply. So the procedures tonight would be, you would entertain a motion to go into legislative session. Mr. Mackey would fill you in and give you greater detail about the proposed text amendment. You can ask him any questions that you may have. If you wish to go forward with this introduction, then you would direct staff to schedule this for a public hearing, and then you would close a legislative session. You would not be voting on this text amendment tonight. All you would be doing is introducing it so the process can move forward.
I need a motion to go into legislative session.
So moved.
And a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We are now in legislative session. And Mr. Mackey,
Good evening again.
good evening, sir.
The item before you is a code home rule bill. On March 14th, this body adopted Resolution 2023-02 to consider a zoning text amendment to update the permitted heights of industrial structures from 45 feet to 60 feet in the industrial, commercial, and employment center zoning districts and located in the Route 301 corridor. On April 6th, your Planning Commission held a public hearing on this proposal. They requested some additional information from staff, along with the first information we provided. All that's available online for folks who are looking at the packet and the agenda, where it says information is posted online here. If you click here, it takes you to the Planning Commission page, and you can see the staff report, the additional materials, and all the correspondence that the Planning Commission received. On May 4th, the Planning Commission met and discussed the proposed change and voted to provide an unfavorable recommendation to the County Commissioners. A letter regarding that recommendation by the Planning Commission is within your packet. And as part of their review process, as County Attorney noted, a Route 301 corridor definition was discussed. There wasn't a specific recommendation for the Planning Commission on that, but in discussion with staff, including that seems to provide a lot of helpful context, clarify, where we're talking about exactly. And there's a map that illustrates, to illustrative only, what the verbal definition would look like on a map. And as mentioned by County Attorney, this item is presented for first reading and introduction in order to schedule a public hearing, and staff would recommend approval in order for the process to move forward. I'd also like to note that today some correspondence was received, and that will be provided in your packet during the public hearing when such correspondence would be brought forward to you. So I'm happy to answer any questions. There was certainly a lot of discussion at Planning Commission, a lot of informational items, and those are all available on the web. If you have specific questions before introduction, happy to address those.
So I'd have to entertain a motion to move this forward and schedule a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to introduce Code Home Rule Bill 2-2023, and for the bill to be scheduled for a public hearing as soon as possible.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
you know when, you have an idea when the public hearing would take place?
I do not.
June
Okay.
13th, is it June 13th?
Did we discuss it? I apologize. I should know.
No
Yes,
need
it's
to
June 13th,
apologize.
yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Our State's Attorney Brian DeGregory.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
It's good to see you all again.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for this opportunity to present a request, a grant request that we'd like to make through the State's Attorney's Office. It's a federal justice assistance grant that we'd like to apply for. My interest in doing this came from a lot of places, but the idea to go through a grant to provide money or funds to purchase a software program, basically a case management system, but it's much more than that, and I will try not to be overly enthusiastic about it. However, I am, because it does more than just provide a management system for our office for cases. But I became aware of this possibility through other state attorneys' offices in Maryland that have used this grant to purchase software to automate their operation. So when I found that out, I immediately spoke with Penny Carasquello, our grant writer, and she was 100% on board and helped with searching for this particular grant. I also spoke with an individual, Heather Amador from the Governor's Office of Victim Services, who herself, when she was a victim service coordinator in Anne Arundel County, helped apply for this grant, in particular because, and why this grant's available for this particular type of software, is because it helps us manage cases to the point where we can communicate better with victims in particular, from start to finish. So when the case is active, even beyond when the case is closed out, we can inform victims, keep them abreast of what's going on in a case after someone, say, is sentenced maybe up for parole, modifications are filed, so forth. But it does way more than that. This is not only something that will help us automate our system and make us more efficient in the State's Attorney's Office, it'll provide us with reports and data and information pretty much at a touch of a button. It will benefit the county to where we would know how many DUIs are refusals, how many DUIs each law enforcement agency is participating in, the outcomes of all the cases based on the agencies that make the arrest. It will help us become more efficient and study those cases to see where we can do better and where we can shore up any weaknesses we may have. It also helps us give an idea of recidivism rates. We were talking about that before when I was before you gentlemen regarding another grant that we're trying to obtain to reduce that rate here in Kent County. But instead of scrambling or trying to find reports and information, we have it all at a touch of a button. So it would help us even in future requests for grants because we'd be able to generate reports across the board on a number of issues and provide information that right now is either very difficult to find or takes a lot of time. So, but I go back to the very basic part of this request is to make our office more efficient in handling and managing cases. attorneys can walk into a courtroom with a laptop in many situations without having a bunch of files in their hands and have all that information right in front of them on that laptop. All the information from notes to communication with victims to communication with law enforcement will run through this program, from texting someone, all be recorded. So there's no missing data. We'll know what was done, what was said, when it was said, and by whom. It will help us to siphon through that information to know what's important, what's discovery, what's not, what's work product from an attorney, what we need to provide and what we don't need to provide, and what we shouldn't provide. So I know I'm talking fast. I know it's energized by my enthusiasm for this software, because I tell you what, it takes us, it brings us up to date as a state's attorney's office as to how our office should be operating. From filing with the court to managing our cases to providing data and information to our office, to local law enforcement agencies, and to the county, so we know where we are when it comes to what's going on in the criminal justice system. So with that, I guess that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to apply for this grant for 2024, and we hope to get your permission to do that. And I'll answer any questions that you may have.
So it appears that the one-time grant is for $57,500.
Well, yeah, it is. There's a yearly maintenance fee, and
That's reoccurring.
it is reoccurring, correct. That number that was presented to you gentlemen is for the upfront cost of the program, the software itself, and then 1-year maintenance fee. However, I have not had direct communication, but I am looking into seeing what other counties have done in that respect, because the request could be for us to get funding for that maintenance cost, if it's doable, and if it's proper to do so, through the one-time request, at least into the future, say, like for the next 5 years of maintenance costs. We may not have to be limited to just the 1 year, the first year maintenance costs for that fiscal year 2024, which really is the heavy lifting year. We wouldn't be setting up in our office, and the software company that's providing the program would be coming in and training and getting us up and running. So, and I don't know all the nuances of how that works, and I know we have a new procurement officer that could really help with understanding that. And Penny Carasquillo, the grant writer who's applied for this grant, she understands how they function, the details of it all. So between the two of them and my office, I think we may have a different request grant-wise that would go above and beyond what I have put before the commissioners here today.
Well, just today, we spent about 5 hours prior to this meeting working on the next year's budget. And we all three had to make some very, very tough decisions. And frankly, there was not any extra money anywhere. A lot of it has to do with unfunded mandates from the state that have been pushed onto the county. And what I would encourage you to do is to try to either absorb that $8,400 cost next year in your budget, or as an advisory board member of the Narcotics Task Force, to maybe approach them and ask them if they would pay for that $8,400 out of seized drug money, basically. We're just trying to prepare ourselves for next year, because we know we're going to be facing a very tough time again next year. So anything that you can do to alleviate that $8,400 in your budget. I mean, this is the worst I think Commissioner Fithian has ever seen in his years as a county commissioner. You know, the money just isn't there for next year either, probably. So, having said that, I don't have a problem with you receiving the grant. I just hope that you're able to meet that $8,400 expense, either from within your allocation that we give you, or from another source.
No, definitely take that into consideration, Commissioner, 100%, and I understand what you're saying. I'm respectful of it, and as I have said, I am looking into the possibility of rolling that cost into the grant itself, if that's possible. And I'm hoping it is.
Do you have any questions?
I got nothing further to add, other than just to echo the sheriff's sentiments here. I mean, it's been a tough few weeks here, sitting up at this desk, and I don't know, $8,400 probably doesn't sound like a whole lot of money when, in the scheme of things, but I just think that next year it's gonna be $8,400 is gonna be a big deal. So anywhere that we can maybe find another resource would certainly help us out up here on this side of it, so.
Yes, absolutely understand.
With that being said, I entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the submission of the Edward J. Byrne Memorial Justice Grant application for the State's Attorney's Office Case Management System and approve signing the required grant documents once grant submission is approved and the application is prepared.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. DeGregory, and good luck. And their grant
Thank you.
writer's gonna help you with that.
Yes. No, I thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Shelley Neal Edwards, Director of Kent County Department of Social Services. You have anybody else with you that wants to come up? Please introduce them.
Julie Hanzo, she's our Assistant Director for this Family Investment Administration, which is what the Summer SNAP program is under, so Julie can come sit.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, President Fithian, Commissioner Price, and Commissioner Nickerson. Thank you for allowing me to discuss the Summer SNAP program. I'll provide you a little bit of background. This program began in 2019 through House Bill 338, Summer SNAP for Children Act, to address food insecurity during the summer and winter school breaks for low-income children who do not have access to free school meals. The program ensures reliable access to healthy food year-round. This is a required county match to participate in this program. The calculation of the match is based on the county's school construction formula. So for Kent County, that's a 50% county, 50% state match. So it costs about $100 per child. So in Kent County, we were one of 4 jurisdictions in the state that was awarded this grant back in 2019. This was due to having a strong partnership with our county and a strong application. Kent County is small and rural, and we have limited resources. In 2019, we targeted Rock Hall children and families due to the area not having summer meals program. We were able to serve 170 children. Of those children and families, 100% said they were satisfied with the program. 100% reported they had an increase in healthier food availability, and 100% reported decrease in financial burden for household expenses as a result. This program demonstrates how effective it is for families and children when it comes to food insecurity. Then the pandemic hit and the program was put on hold. But for 2023, with your gracious county commitment, we were able to do the 50% match, and we proposed to serve 266 children. And that was in the Rock Hall, Kenningtonville, Still Pond, Betterton, Millington, Kent County side, Massey, and Galena, who did not have access to food programs. We were pleased to say that we were able to serve 166 children. 100% reported they were satisfied with the program. 100% reported they had an increase in food availability, and 100% reported a decrease in financial burden. So this program is very beneficial to our children and families. So I'm here to request your participation for 2024. We would like to target the same areas, which is approximately 187 children. For 2023, we received $8,500 from you. Thank you so much. We requested these funds from you for 2024 already in the amount of $6,220. We were just informed that we have approximately $1,900 that's unspent from your county funds that could be rolled over to 2024. And DHS would then fill the rest of the difference. So that would be, so all we're doing is asking that if you would consider those unspent funds of $1,979, I believe, to be rolled over to 2024. And then if you approve the $6,220 for FY '24, which we have put that request in, that will serve our target population, and DHS will pick up the difference, the rest. So I want to reiterate that this program is extremely helpful for the target population, for our children, and for food insecurity. And we would greatly appreciate your commitment in this program like we have had in the past, so that we can continue to partner and help feed our children and families that are most vulnerable. So I'm here to answer any questions.
One thing that come to mind, did you say that Kent County was only one of 4 counties
Yes.
that received that grant?
Yes, we were. The other 3 were large jurisdictions. We were the only county because we proved our county commitment from you all, and then our strong application that we have very limited resources in this county. So we were lucky. Now, DHS only had about $250,000 to use for the state. That has increased, so there are more applicants in this round.
There are $0 being requested of you today.
Right.
Zero, yes.
Assuming you approve the DSS request, FY '24 budget request, there is sufficient funding to pay for the summer of 2023 with that money.
Which we've already been through that.
Correct.
Correct.
There's no additional dollars, nothing you haven't discussed.
Well, I think it's a very worthy program. So if there's no questions, I'd like to make a motion to support the FY 2024 Summer Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, better known as SNAP, as presented.
I strongly second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do have just 2 forms that I'll hand that. One is, that just says that you have, so you as the president would sign that you are committing to the 50% match, and the other one is just to allow the rollover to 2024.
And you're on a tight timeline for that.
The application, well, there was a big mistake.
I
They
know-
left.
I know how this works. I mean,
I
they
was-
wanted
it
like
wasn't our
yesterday.
We were so upset. We were the only county left off of the email in March for the summer SNAP. I didn't even it didn't even dawn on me till April. I said, what is happening? And then all of a sudden we realized, so it was due in April, but they extended it to May 21st for us.
So it would be helpful if we signed it right now.
Yes, it would be. Thank you. So the first one is the state application for 2024, and the second is the rollover funds. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Greatly appreciate that.
Thank you for all the hard work.
Come on. There we go. Thank you. Now we'll hear from our Human Resources Director, Mr. Jim Miller.
Hello again, John.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Evening. Something.
Evening.
Originally, I had 2 items to bring forth. The one item, okay, it's not up. The one item's been taken off the agenda based on the earlier meeting. What I'm here to talk about this evening is a request to give the HR department, in conjunction with departments that have vacancies that are being recruited for, and the county administrator, to give us the authority to fill those positions without bringing each and every one before the commissioners for approval. It would be limited to positions that are grade 6 and below in our current structure. And the background is simply that I've had the opportunity over my short time here, it'll be 3 months next week, to observe that the commissioners' schedules are brutal, today being a prime example, and the timing sometimes causes a delay of a week or 2 in bringing applicants, qualified, recommended applicants, to the 3 of you for approval. The majority of the positions that we fill have been grade 6 and below, and we're finding that with some of those delays, it causes this domino effect where we delay that decision, then that delays the pre-employment process, the background checks, et cetera, and getting the person on staff and working, which can impact the existing staff who are either doing overtime or picking up extra work while they're missing a person. Or, and we've had a couple of occasions where we were at risk for losing our best candidate because it just, the recruitment process stretched out. This request, we think will streamline and shorten the process, enabling us to fill jobs more timely and to everyone's benefit.
Jim, I certainly hear what you're saying, and maybe it's because I've been here too long, probably, but I've always enjoyed the idea that when we have when we do hire people, that your department would, or your predecessor would send supporting documents. It shows us who's applied. You interview them, obviously, and you rank them, and you give us whether you think that person is sufficient for the job or meets the requirements, whatever. I've always enjoyed that, and I like them coming before us, to be quite honest with you, because I like, you know, we're here to represent the county. I like to see what local people are applying for jobs. It just makes, I just like it the way it is, and we did that with those seasonal employees, and you've got the authority to hire them without bringing them here. I would hope that we would continue to do it. Now, if you ever have one that's, look, if we don't hire him in the next 2 or 3 days or a week or something, he's gonna leave us, you give us a call and we'll do something to make that, to change that. So, because obviously we don't wanna lose people. I really like the way that's set up, and I would hope that we would keep it that way. It just lets us see how many of our local people are being hired, who's not hired. Do we have to go out of the county for a lot of people? I like being able to see that follows every one of our new hires, lets me know who they are. I mean, obviously I would eventually, but ask me again in 6 months or something. But right now, I kind of like it the way it is, and I appreciate you. Look, you've done a great job since you come here, but this is one that I think I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit, or at least tell you to postpone it a while.
Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I totally get it. One of my goals is, as you all know, when I came on board, was to improve our processes, streamline what I could, and get us to the position where we were filling jobs as timely as possible. And I saw this as one of the steps in that direction. Certainly for supervisory and above positions, I wouldn't presume to make that kind of a recommendation or hiring decision without consulting and getting the approval of the three of you. I just felt for the positions that were non-supervisory, which has really had been the bulk of our hiring, that this might be a step in that particular direction. But I totally get it. And by the way, I don't think you've been at that chair too long by any stretch of the imagination.
Anyhow, but look, you've made a lot of great changes since you've come with us. We think we've made the right decision when we hired you, and you're doing wonders. You're doing a good job for us. This is just one. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I like being able to see what's going on and have some say in approving those things. So I thank you, but
I'm happy to revisit the topic with you in a few months' time.
okay.
I'll be around.
It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, or whatever that slogan is, but I guess that's my hang up with it or something. But I want to see who's asking for these jobs, and thank you though.
I understand.
I appreciate it.
But this is a prime example of you doing exactly what we hired you to do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And that's anytime that you feel there's a better way of doing business, that you bring at least to our attention, and we may or may not agree, but you're at least doing what you were hired to do.
Well, I don't expect to win 100% of them, but it's a goal.
You won't, I guarantee it.
I understand, gentlemen. Thank you for your attention on this one. And yeah, me and my team will certainly be back in a few months' time talking some more about it with you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to our public time for public comment, media.
Before we do that,
Oh.
can I just want to bring up,
Oh, you're right.
I'm
I got
sorry.
a couple other things.
I forgot, I want to bring up something that we did as a board last week. And I just want to maybe either revisit it or slow it down. Due to us doing the budget that we've been doing the last several weeks. Last week, we okayed the resurfacing or blacktopping of the parking area at Wharton Park. The maintenance shop. And I think it was in the neighborhood of $107,000 or something like that. And with the budget being like it is, and I know it's only one-time money, but I thought maybe we could put that on the back burner or just not move that forward this year to put that $100,000 back into this year's budget. I don't think that the maintenance facility will get any real big heartburn over that, or I hope they don't. But I just think in these times, maybe that's something we can table for a year or so and revisit at another time.
And I personally agree with you as well. It's the parking lot, and it's where the recyclable containers, people going in there. But when that come up, I went and visited it, and I know you did, and I'm sure John has, but the what's there now is certainly satisfactory. It seems to be doing, and you're right, if, you know, we've had to make a lot of tough decisions this year, tougher than I've ever been a part of, so this is one thing I think is easy enough to put it off for a while, so I agree with you, so, John?
Albert, if that's your motion, I'm gonna second it.
I make the motion.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. One question, Tom can probably help with this. Daisy Drive, you know, where that house was.
Right.
We had to have that house taken down and
Right.
burnt.
It's all
Got a
done.
fire in Millington.
Right.
My question, I guess, is who has the say of that lot now?
That property, to the best of my knowledge, is co-owned by the ex-wife/widow of Mr. Knott and Mr. Knott's estate. To the best of my knowledge, the estate has not been fully probated yet, so it hasn't passed to heirs, and I don't believe any a solution would be for one to buy the other out, I think, but I don't think any of that has happened. So as we stand today, you have, the estate has a 50% interest, and the ex-wife has a 50% interest.
The reason for asking the question is the neighbors, and rightfully so, they were contacting us quite often about getting that half-burnt down house taken away from there, because it was certainly an eyesore, it wasn't safe.
Right, and that was
We're
a
getting
very
rid of-
unusual
And it went on
circumstance.
for
Right.
well over a year,
Right.
and because it was so complicated with the way it happened and
Right.
the mortgage company and insurance, it was a mess.
Yes.
So that's why it took a long time.
Correct.
But nevertheless, the neighbors, rightfully so, had some concerns about the appearance of the neighborhood, the safety of the neighborhood. Now, I rode by there yesterday on the way to Dover, actually, and now the grass is getting up like this tall, it's kind of junky looking. I can almost anticipate we're gonna get some phone calls, and I don't know whether whether we should send a crew up there to at least clean it up the first time.
I highly recommend we don't go onto private property because then we're liable, but we can treat this as any other high grass
Right.
property and send a letter, a notification that they need to.
Well,
And what I think is, given everything that happened, I think we have the attention of all the players. They know that we are serious, given what happened last time, and I don't think anybody wants to have more litigation. So I think we have a good shot that if we bring it to their attention, my guess is it's out of sight, out of mind, that the child or the adult child who's the personal representative lives out of state. The attorney for the estate is in Anne Arundel County. The ex-wife lives, I think, in the Wharton area, is probably not driving by there. So I think if we notify them and bring it to their attention, and have them say, you guys have to work it out, or we're gonna be back in court again, I have more confidence at this juncture that that will induce action on the part of the property owners than what we had last time, because we don't have all those other factors at play that we did last time. But I think Mr. Mackey's department could get out there and issue requisite letter and notice, and we get the health department out there too, as we did last time. We can be on this.
Well, I think it'd be a good idea for us to do that, at least notify them, make them aware of the fact that, that lot didn't just go away when we cleaned had the buildings taken off, the house taken off. And it's the very first lot as you
Right,
pull
I
into,
know,
to
Can't
there's
visit.
a little, group of homes that's back there, and it's, it doesn't look real good right now. So we'll send them, if
Yeah,
we all agree, we'll send them a letter and see if we can get them to
We'll do that, move
maintain.
forward, and if there's no response or action's not taken, we'll issue the appropriate, citations or do whatever we need to do under the code. But I have a feeling they're thinking, okay, it's demolished, it's over, and it may not have occurred to the property owners that they have an ongoing responsibility to maintain this property. It's a building lot in the subdivision, it's not a farm field, so you have to, mow it and take care of it.
Very good, thank you. Now we're time for public comment or media review. Anybody that wants to?
Do have something,
Okay.
that I'd ask maybe Mr. Bill Mackey to come forward for, just for a minute to talk about this. And Bill, this has to do with the Havilow property. I just want all three of us to know what's going on with that.
Okay. Just summarize the situation.
Well, being a newly elected county commissioner, I'm not real familiar with how the release of the bonds work.
Okay.
And I know that it's my understanding from your email that they've complied with the stormwater
Mm-hmm.
and erosion and sediment control.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So those two bonds can be released.
yes.
And is that something that you engage with, or is that something that they should engage? or-
So the first step is the issuer of the bonds would send a letter to us requesting release.
Which would be the insurance company?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then once we receive that, generally we go out and do inspections. Those inspections are already done, so we know the property's in compliance, so then I would schedule it before you all. My understanding is that long ago, letters of credit came to you to be initiated and also came for release. And that over time, the practice now is really just for release, because they're a requirement. You have to turn them in. So the, staff processes those, make sure they match up with the value of the work being done. The purpose being to protect the county if someone is doing a project and they don't properly do erosion and sediment control, or they do something with their stormwater management that the county has to come in and fix, because those are public goods that protects the neighbors from things happening, that we have money to do that. So when folks are done with the project and it's passed inspection, then those bonds can be released. So I'm hoping the insurance company will reach out to us. It's a standard letter that they send us, and then I can schedule that for your agenda. So,
And there's a third bond that has to do with the buffer zone.
right.
This particular family has contracted with Angelin Nurseries, which is a very reputable nursery here in the county. And I think your office staff have agreed that they're satisfied with the fact that they're gonna put there what they have agreed to, yeah. Once that is in place,
Right. For landscaping, we typically hold the bond for 2 years so that the plants survive, and there's two cycles for them to go through. That's generally what we do. Carla is our critical area subject matter expert. In this case, it's also tied in with the critical area because it's buffer planning, so I'd want to touch base about if there's any sort of detail for that, but I understand there might be some desire to go ahead and release that as well. So I would want to just close that loop to make sure that's something we can do.
I think that would be the desire, of the family, obviously, is to be able to, actually have that
Right.
bond released, because it's costing them X number amount of dollars every year to maintain that. And they've also spent an awful lot of money and have put a very nice piece of real estate up there. I don't know how my fellow commissioners feel about holding that bond for 2 years, but if we have the authority to, I have full faith that the family's gonna follow through with what they said they're gonna do. Yes, there is a risk of liability there, but I think we could probably go after them as well to make them pay for it, if we had to. But to tie their money up, when it's already been tied up since, I think, 2000, that's a long time to have your money tied up. As a citizen of the county and a businessman of the county.
Did I understand you say that you were gonna check with Carla about this, the possibility of?
Right, because there's an
releasing this ahead of
intersection with the
time?
critical area. It's not just our own landscaping requirements, there's some state requirements involved. Just make sure that that's something we're allowed to do, so.
Right, anything that we can do that is appropriate and lawful.
Yeah, of course.
I would like to suggest that we.
Or slightly unlawful.
No,
Just slightly, just
I would
slightly.
recommend not going that route.
No,
I'm joking.
And it may
Within
be
the
all perfectly
regulations.
fine.
I think Mr. Mackey will do his best to find a solution within the confines of the law.
that's what we would like to ask you to do.
Okay.
And do you want me to call Mr. Hevelo, or would you like to call him and tell him? what
I
he
can
has to
certainly do that, sir.
That would be nice if you would.
Okay.
I don't mean to put extra on your plate, but I think he would appreciate hearing directly from you.
Okay. All righty. Thank you, sir.
Bill, as always, thank you very much for coming.
You have a tough job, though.
But you do it well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
Yes.
and the occupancy permit, we need to get that to them as well, once they,
I can go over
Me too.
what, there's a few very last steps, so we've scheduled the final inspection, and there's a few things they need to submit. We'll be good.
he was hoping to be in the house by Memorial Day weekend, so,
We hope so, too. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
all
Do
right.
whatever you can without getting us in trouble.
Yeah, don't get us in any trouble.
Or not real bad trouble. I can get in a little trouble.
Moderate trouble,
I do that on my own. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you, Bill.
Now it's time for the again, a public comment or media review. Anybody in the public have any comment or questions or concerns? If not, I guess we entertain a motion to adjourn after
How many hours?
I make a motion to adjourn.
9 hours we've been
I'll
here.
second
So
your
I think
motion.
I'm ready to adjourn too.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.